How we doing? You guys ready for day 2? Well, that's 4. Day 2 of the 6-figure game idea workshop. I'm really excited because number 1, hey, we're going to talk about how that idea that maybe you created yesterday. We talked all about creating great ideas yesterday. Taking that idea and that demo of that idea, we're going to take that and talk about how you sell it. How do you sell that to a publisher? How do you sell that to a platform? How do you do a Kickstarter campaign? Or my ultimate favorite these days, just because, I don't know if I'm going to work with a publisher in the future. Sometimes you have to, and sometimes it's a good idea. But my favorite is Wishlists. We'll talk all about that. And then after that, we're going to do a big fun Q&A. We're going to do a Steam page audit, so get your Steam pages ready. Or if you have a pitch deck or you have game ideas, we will be auditing those. So I'm really, really excited about that, guys. So come in. Let me get set up here. Everybody should be here. How many of you got an email today? Want to make sure everybody's getting my emails about if you signed up for the workshop. So come on in. All right. We're good here. Awesome. I'm going to start the slideshow here. Hey, I told you I was going to say this. Look, guys, yesterday we had, yesterday and today is a big workshop sale for my massive program, Full-Time Game Dev. So several people enrolled, which is awesome. It means the world to me because obviously it does support the channel and it supports the podcast, but it does also support their future, which is awesome. They're students of the program, and the program teaches, how to turn a game into a full-time gig, right? So welcome Jess, Leah, Lay, H, Gabriel B, Zach M, and JP Sherry, and Jojo D. Means the world to me. And by the way, guys, there's a link below before we begin the workshop here. There's a link below on enrolling in Full-Time Game Dev. There's 15 seats left to get this massive 40% discount. And look, if you don't believe me and you think it's a silly little idea or a silly program, Andre went full-time, Chris went full-time, Bart went full-time, Everflux went full-time, Felipe went full-time, Soltar, Antonio, and this is Chris again here. Lots of people went full-time, which is just so freaking cool. So it's 40% off. You also get my 2D and 3D art programs completely free. You got a day left, right? And then after that, closed up. The deal's gone. Okay. And I'll give you a shout out at the end of this stream if you do enroll during the stream. So I'll give you a shout out. But anyway, enough shilling your course, Thomas. Jeez, shut up. All right, let's take a look at this wonderful, beautiful slideshow here and get going. All right, day 2 of the workshop dedicated to crafting profitable game ideas. That's the goal for today. Let's go ahead and talk really quickly about crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a great way to secure. It's not always the most money, okay? And admittedly, crowdfunding is not as huge as it was, 3-4 years ago, but it's still there. Look, the days of getting, $200,000 for a crowdfunding campaign, they're not really here, okay? But you can still raise money, and you can still raise enough to get you full-time, okay? So I've done 2 crowdfunding campaigns, one for Once Upon a Coma, and then another one for Pinstripe. So that's what you do. You take your demo, and you take your trailer, and you pitch it on crowdfunding, okay? So you could use Kickstarter, Indiegogo, BackerKit. Here's kind of a reasonable estimate. I think this is what everybody wants to know. It's like, Thomas, if I have a good game idea, and hopefully after yesterday you do have a good game idea. Let me pull the chat up actually over here. I want to make sure I see you guys. Can you give me a sec here? Hopefully you have a good game idea. And if you do have a good game idea, there's sort of a lower tier. As I pull up the chat here, I'll explain. There's sort of a lower tier of the amount of funding you can get. And then there's kind of a higher tier of funding. And this is just basically sort of my, I don't know, gut feeling of doing it multiple times, and also just sort of watching Kickstarter in the last couple years. This is just my gut feeling on the amount of money you can make on Kickstarter. And we'll talk about Kickstarter and like the risks involved. Let's see. Let me pull up the chat. There it is. Okay, now I can see you guys. I felt super lonely there for a second. Here we go. All right, yeah, so you're probably wondering, like, why should I do a Kickstarter campaign? Well, imagine if you took a demo and you made $25,000 to $200,000, okay? It's not that crazy to do. It takes hard work, and we'll talk about what work is involved. Like I said, the days of a $200,000 campaign for indie titles, I think those are over. The favored games on Kickstarter are like family-friendly games, kind of, or just like not shooters, not super violent horror games. Despite the fact that I would love that, they kind of favor friendlier games. So just keep that in mind, especially with Kickstarter. So let's think about this. How do we do this? How do we crowdfund? Well, you might want to go full time. And so you're thinking, okay, I got a demo. I'm ready to go full time. I want to get enough money to work on my project full time. Well, it's probably going to take you, in order to do a good campaign, it's going to take you around 60 to 90 days to plan and prepare. So 2 to 3 months of just planning and preparing, right? So you got your demo. You don't just launch a Kickstarter campaign the next week. What you do is you plan this thing, right? You plan it out. And the way you plan it is you obviously make a great video. You make a great trailer for your game, and then you talk about it in front of a camera. You tell your story, right? You know, on this video, and you can look at Neversong's campaign and also Pinstripe's campaign. We'll look at those in just a second here. And you prepare that page in private. Once you've prepared the page and prepared the video, and then you start to put together an email list. An email list is the linchpin of every great digital marketing campaign. Whether it's seeking funding, whether it's reaching out to the press, whether it's selling your game. But Thomas, that's wish lists. No, wish lists are email lists. So everything comes down to email lists. So when it comes to a Kickstarter campaign, guys, I did this when I didn't have a following. I know what a lot of you are thinking. You're thinking, well, Thomas, he's got a YouTube channel, so all of this is BS. And it's like, no, I did this before. In fact, I think, Neversong and Pinstripe, which both raised $100,000 each, basically. Neversong, which is called Once Upon a Coma at the time, we changed the name, was just a little bit less. I didn't have a following then. Maybe I was starting to, but it was tiny. And what I did was I created a list of press people that were interested in these kind of games. Well, Thomas, where do I find their email? You can find it. Just Google it. It's usually on Twitter or where's everybody going to? Blue Sky. It's usually there. It's on their personal websites. It's on IGN's website, blah, 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 blah. The press is not as relevant as they used to be. Thank God. But you could still get streamers to play your demos. You can reach out to them. You don't have to reach out to big ones. You can reach out to mid-tier ones. So what you do is you reach out to all these people. I would make it a goal of 100 YouTubers, 100 members of the press, and 100, wait for it, friends and family. Make that a goal. 100 YouTubers or streamers, 100 members of the press, and then 100 family members. Make it a goal. You're probably not going to hit it, but make it a goal. Anders Edge says, does Kickstarter sort of have its own algorithm? If so, how much money do you have to send it for your own people before it's kind of an algorithm. I would just say it's more like a couple people in an office in New York City. I think they're in New York, and they just pick and choose. If something's doing well, they throw it on the front page, and the front page will bring in 70% of your revenue. But you gotta kickstart it, no pun intended, with this. So you're sitting here thinking, okay, Thomas has a goal for me to reach out to 300 people who can promote this thing. Do I do it before I launch? Do I do it after I launch? Like, when do I take advantage of this email list? And the answer is day one. Right on day one, everyone knows what they need to do. So how do you do that? Well, it depends on the list. Streamers, you need to reach out to them 2 weeks prior and say, hey, I got a demo and I want you to play it. And by the way, you can post the video on this date. Let's say it's June 1st, you're launching your Kickstarter campaign. And it would mean the world to me if you pasted the Kickstarter link in the description and let your audience know, blah, blah, blah. So now you've just sent 100 emails to 100 different streamers, mid-tier, low-tier, high-tier, and they all know that they can post the demo and the playthrough of the demo on their channels June 1st. How many will do it? Maybe 3. Maybe 3. That's amazing, because that is what you need. And we'll talk about why that's what you need. Number 2, 100 members of the press, blogs, articles, or magazines like, I don't know, Time Magazine, which weirdly enough, I say Time Magazine because it seems like an outlier, but I did it, Washington Post, I've done that one. Kotaku, Polygon, PC Gamer, Games Radar. Just reach out. You're probably thinking, well, there's not 100 of them, Thomas, that matter, right? There probably are. And you can actually bring it down to like 33 by reaching out to 3 different email addresses of the same magazine. So it's like info at Games Radar, and then a freelance writer for Games Radar, and then use their submission field on their website. So you go bang, 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 hit them 3 times. Same thing as YouTubers and streamers. You let them know. Some of you are probably thinking this sounds crazy. This is how it's done. This is what PR agencies do. Okay? But I'm just asking you to do it yourself. Put on your big boy pants. Do it yourself. I did it. I did it twice. And it worked. Now, here's the thing. What are family and friends for? There's 2 things they're going to do for you. They're going to retweet, repost. Your grandma's going to post it on Facebook. I'm so proud of Dane Weber. It's so exciting what Dane Weber is doing with his career. He's making a little video game. I'm going to support him on Kickstarter and give him a whopping $5. Right? That's what you're trying to do. I think the main goal with family and friends is to get them to give you money in that first hour. So get your phone out and text everybody you know. Day one, in that first hour. Because if you can get $5,000 raised in the first hour from family and friends, the algorithm will see it. Or the Kickstarter, whoever's in charge of getting it on the front page will see it. Again, if you don't trust me, I've done this twice. So I know how this works. I just don't know who's behind it all. Actually, I do. I mean, they have a team of people. I've talked to them. I just don't know if there's an algorithmic component. But I know there's a curation team for sure. Okay? So all 3 of those. Now, you might be thinking, well, those family and friends are going to be really confused. They're going to be like, why did I just get a text message asking for money? There's nothing more gross than doing that. So I forgot to mention this. A month before the campaign, $5,000 from family and friends is not insane. How many of you have a rich uncle or some aunt who'd be willing to drop $2,000 to help you out, or $500? And I don't have many of those at all, but I can think of maybe like one or two people. For example, I was friends with a really rich CEO, and I think he dropped $1,000 immediately. It's just a few people who go bang, because look, here's why. I know, Morgan, you're probably thinking that sounds crazy. It's not. The reason why is what I was just saying, which is what you do is for 30 days prior to the campaign, you send out the preview link of the campaign and you tell your friends and family and you say, guys, this is scary for me. I need your advice. What do you think about this preview campaign? And they look at a preview link and they say, wow, I'm really proud of you. Like this, you're really going all out. And you made this demo? Wow. And you say, yeah, and what do you think? And they give you their advice and you say, thank you so much, Aunt Susie. I'm going to implement these changes. They don't care about your project. They care about you, right? Automotive says, I don't think you live in the real world if you think you can get $5,000 from family. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because what you do, and guys, this isn't like what is it? One of Alex Hormozy's books. I think it's called $100 Million Leads. He talks about how effective it is to grind with your list on your phone and to just grind with that list of people. Guys, I have done this. Now, I don't know if it was $5,000, but it was more than $2,000 from friends and family. They show up, guys. They want to help you. They want to help you. You can say it's not going to work all you want, but I'm just telling you what's worked twice for me. You guys keep thinking of family. It's friends and family, friends and family. Okay? It's possible. Okay? You warm up that list for 30 days, and then boom, when you launch the campaign within the first hour, they'll show up. Seprotype says, I mean, if you had 5,000 family members. Guys, I don't think you understand that all it takes is a couple people who really want to see you succeed to get to that number. Like if I open up the Kickstarter campaigns for both of my games, it was close friends, successful close friends, several of them who did $1,000 Kickstarter backing because they want to see you succeed. Does that make sense? Dane Weber says you can. It's not actually that hard. Maybe mentally hard, but getting money is not that difficult. It just takes effort. Look, when it's your first campaign and you're going all out and people want to see you succeed, in a way you're they live vicariously through you and they'll support you. They'll show up and they'll drop some big bucks. Now, if you do this all the time and it's like every campaign you do, you're asking for money from your pastor, it's like, well, no, don't do that. But if it's the first campaign you've ever done, the people in your community, if you have 100 friends and family members that you can reach out to, they'll show up. Okay. So Anders Edge says, imagine that your core family will be willing to give you $20 to $100. Let's say 50 times 5 is $250, and like 20 of your friends for an average of 50. That's $1,250. That's right. And that's exactly what I'm saying. So you have friends that show up, that love you and care about you, and they show up. But then you have those few family members or friends or mentors who are business owners and they got money and they show up and they support. Now, why do we even care about this? We care about it not because we need, okay, $5,000 is enough. It's like, no. What you want to do is you want to kickstart that algorithm, or let the curation team at Kickstarter know that this project just made a lot of money really fast, right? So that's why we're trying to get an initial impulse when you do your crowdfunding. So this is just a recap of what you wanted the 60-day launch plan to be. Okay. Guys, this mentality, seriously, this mentality of saying, well, no, that can't be done. No, that can't be done. You're crazy. That's silly. That's why campaigns don't work. Because people do not believe that laying the groundwork in the first 60 days is worth it. And you have somebody who's done it twice telling you exactly how he did it. Okay? So have some courage and lay those stepping stones as you lead up to the launch of a crowdfunding campaign. I think you'll be surprised that people show up. Okay? There you go. All right. Let's talk about publishers and platforms. Guys, similarly to Kickstarter, I have to admit, publishers got spooked in 2024. They're there. They exist. And you can get funding. Totally fine. You can get funding. But publishers are more timid this year than they were last year. And that's because a lot of funding was pulled from various publishers and studios. So we saw a lot of funding collapsing last year. But there's still indie publishers. They're still interested in getting indie games. It might be a little bit competitive, and they might be paying less. Okay? Padlock says, I didn't listen to Thomas, and I released with 600 wish lists instead of waiting until I had 10 to 20,000. Let's see here. All right, let's see here. Yeah, I totally agree, Delbone. Delbone says, I have to build myself up mentally, having people back me. It's too much pressure. I need to focus on the game, not where to get the money. It's funny, once you get the money, you can focus on the game. So, that's what this whole workshop is about. It's about figuring out a way to turn an idea into a paycheck, right? And welcome to Creative Projects. You can go get a loan, you can get debt, you can do it on the side, right? Or you could find funding and you can learn how to do it, right? So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but finding funding is how I've always done it. Okay. Publishers, you can get somewhere around $50,000 to $2 million. I've had friends who did $50,000 deals. And that same friend, I'm not joking, that same friend 2 years later did a $2 million deal. Now, you get this money before launch, but you spend the money on production. Okay? You spend the money on production. And that's your salary, and that's other people's salaries as well. Oh, but Thomas, 50% or 40% of the revenue is going to go to a publisher? I don't want to do that. Well, number one, is the game going to get done without a publisher or funding? Maybe not. Is the game going to be 50% better? Meaning the revenue is going to be 50% more with a publisher. Hopefully, if you have a good publisher. So you kind of have to weigh, okay, is it worth giving up a royalty share in order to make this game complete? In order to polish this game and make it better, right? Now you might be thinking, well, Thomas, what kind of deal would you want? I'd actually want lower deals lately because I can get a higher royalty share and more control over the project. These scare me. $2 million, those scare me. Okay? Because it's like, man, how much control is this publisher going to have over this project? So how do we do this? How do we get a publisher involved? I'll show you here. Let's take a look. So this is actually what I use to get publishers involved. I'm going to show it to you directly. So this is Twisted Tower. Okay. And if I were to want to seek more funding for Twisted Tower, this is what I would use. Okay. Let's see here. the more emails, the better. Well, not necessarily. You know, this is from Anders Edge. He says, I guess the more emails, the better. Not necessarily. Quality leads over quantity every day. If you can get quality and quantity, you win. How do you figure out if you're getting a raw deal from a publisher? It's not a contract that will save you. Who knows? This is so important, guys, and I've learned this the hard way. I promise I've learned. I promise you. I promise I've learned this the hard way. Is a good contract the way to go? Sure. Like, yeah, you want to have a good contract, but what's better than a good contract? The reputation of the publisher with developers. Write that down. The reputation of a publisher with its developers will inform you everything you need to know. A contract can say all sorts of things in it. But when a publisher is funded by some massive Russian or Chinese company, who cares what the contract says? I don't think that will stop them from screwing you over. So a good publisher and a solid reputation with developers is how you go about it. The way you do this is you reach out to their developers and you say, hey, I'm negotiating with Raw Fury. And by the way, I haven't even talked to Raw Fury. I've reached out to them before, but I've never talked to them before. And you say, hey, developers of this game, what's Raw Fury like? What's the relationship like? It's best to reach out to the ones who have worked with them in the past, because they're not going to be like, oh, I'm currently in a relationship with this person. I'm not going to smear them right now. Okay? When somebody is in bed with somebody else, they're not going to be honest about that relationship. Does that make sense? But yeah, if I was to seek out more money for, let's say, Twisted Tower, I would just send them this. Pretty straightforward. So what have we got here? We've got a slick trailer. Right? Really slick trailer. I just spit. And this is on the Steam page as well. There's a press kit. Okay. This is more for the press, so actually do not worry about that. You don't need a press kit. Play the demo on Steam. Big old fat button for the demo. If it's not on Steam, it may be a zip file or something. A summary of the plot, screenshots, and credibility. Some kind of credibility here, right? Some kind of credibility here. Okay. So for me, it's like, hey, featured by Time Magazine or Kotaku, or worked with Apple Arcade. Oh, I've got 2 games I've released. Oh, Thomas has a lot of subscribers. How cool. Right now, and this isn't private, no. Yours should be. This is actually for the press. But I could use this exact page to pitch to publishers. And say, hey, I need some funding. So that's it. This is what's called a squeeze page or a brochure page. It's just a quick page that just showcases the greatest stuff about your game. And guys, notice how the idea that we created yesterday, or any idea that you created yesterday, you're going to want that to be hyper-focused on this page. What I mean is all elements of the Trinity hook are right there. Okay? In my case, the story hook is here. Oh, it's a Disney World, but like violent. There's blood in a castle. The art hook is here. Oh, it has that Willy Wonka vibe. Oh, and the mechanical hook is there. Ah, I see. You have wacky weapons, like this wacky Looney Tunes hammer. Oh, it's like a shooter with a shotgun and these creepy mascots. So, oh, but it kind of looks like BioShock. It has that BioShock look. So all of those different hooks are present immediately in your pitch. Does that make sense? What could you use for credibility if it's your first or second game? I will show you. Do you guys want to see? Sorry, my nose itches today. That's a really good question, Kyle. Seriously. Let's take a look. What did I do? Well, this was my first Kickstarter campaign. And by the way, guys, a Kickstarter campaign is not really that different than a pitch deck. It's not really that different than a Steam page. It's a trailer, but you talk about the trailer, right? But a lot of devs are even doing that on their Steam pages now. Like Jonas Tyroller for Thronefall, he talks about the game in his Steam trailer. So look, a Kickstarter campaign is not that different than a Steam page or a pitch deck. Okay, Steam page gets you wish lists, pitch deck gets you publishers, Kickstarter campaign gets you backers. Okay, it's all sort of the same thing, and it's it's kind of the net to catch the fish. Fish being funding, right, or wish lists or whatever. Okay, so what did I do to establish credibility, guys? A lot of you are probably wondering, well, I don't have any credibility. Create it. Go get it. Submit your game to fun festivals. Submit it to YouTubers and have them play the game privately and ask their opinion. Submit it to blogs. I did all of this. See, this is what's frustrating. This actually frustrates me a lot. Is I'll have people say on Twitter or like comments or something is like, Thomas talks about doing a Kickstarter campaign, but he had followers. Or Thomas has followers. It's not the same for him. And I'm like, what do you think? How did I do this then when I had no following? This was back in 2016 when I was a little chump. Let's see here.
Hi Kickstarter, my name is Thomas Brush, and I've been working on a game called Pinstripe for almost 4 years. Pinstripe is a beautiful 2D...
I was a marketing shill even then. The way I did this, guys, is I went and sought it out. Okay? Credibility was sought out. Does that make sense? I went out to blog. I went to Indie Games. I literally went to their website, found their editor, and emailed them and said, what do you think about this? I submitted it to festivals. Game Grumps, I got lucky with this one. Okay? I got lucky with this one, I'll admit. I had a friend who worked for them. What other credibility did I do? I used my disadvantages as advantages. Right? Look at this. Working alone. That's a disadvantage. I used it as an advantage. I said I was scared. Right? Disadvantage being used as an advantage. Now, I did have this documentary come out from Unity, but I still didn't have a following. This was really cool. Now, actually, I think this may have happened after the campaign. But it was like a mini documentary, and I thought it was going to blow up, and it didn't. Tom Fulp. You're like, whoa, Thomas, you got the Newgrounds CEO to do a quote? You must have used your audience for that, or used your influence for that. It's like, no. I reached out to Tom Fulp privately while I was working my desk job. And I said, hey, bro, I need advice. And he called me on the phone. And I had nobody. I had no following. Okay, so I like that this campaign is up and still here, even with the broken GIFs, because it just shows, I don't know, fake it till you make it. Show how confident you are in the project and create credibility, manifest it from nowhere, and people show up. I honestly think this campaign, even now, would do as well. Even with Kickstarter not as relevant as it was. Look, I manifested credibility out of nowhere. I said, Tom Fulps. I said to Tom Fulp, hey, can you mentor me? Yes. I'll give you a couple phone calls. Boom, on my advisory board. Steve Brush, my brother. Hey, bro, you're a software engineer. Can you advise me? Yeah, boom, advisory board. Friend of mine who's an illustrator. Hey, can you advise me? Boom, advisory board. Friend who worked at Game Grumps. Oh, hey, can you be on the advisory board? Sure, bro. Boom, advisory board. You're creating credibility. And you can do this with anything. You can do it with a pitch deck. You're just trying to show people that they can trust you. Okay? And you can, all you got to do is pull, like, that this, it's a very what's the word? It's a very rigid mindset to think all I have are friends and family. It's like that's a lot. Like, if you can use those people to your advantage and put them in an advisory board and make it look pretty, suddenly you've just created credibility. Oftentimes you just have to show the world that you care. That's what oftentimes a lot of this even is. Nobody knows who this is. Nobody knows who these people are. But what they see is they see, wow, Thomas put a lot of thought into this. Does that make sense? Wow, Thomas put a lot of thought into this. Oh, he has a budget. Wow. Oh my goodness. He's really, really thought about this. Am I faking it? No, I have thought about it. Have you? I mean, what about you guys? When you're pitching to a publisher, have you thought a lot about your game? Yeah. So prove it. Put a lot of thought into it, establish credibility, and confidently project what the game is, and you'll be surprised when people show up to support you. Is it easy? No. Is it hard? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. All right. Moving on. Okay. I'm just spitballing here, but whether it's publishers or maybe working with platforms like Xbox or PlayStation, and by the way, these deals with publishers and platforms have become less frequent, and they've also become less profitable. And profit's not the right word. Less plentiful in the amount of money they offer. Okay, just being real with you. 2024 was tight, but like I said, it still exists. There's still money out there, and according to Edmund McMillan in a podcast I did with him, there's plenty of money. There's plenty of money. You just have to have a good idea. It's just not like 2024 where publishers were being stupid and money was just pouring out of their nose. Okay. When you launched the campaign for Pinstripe, how far along the project were you? This is from Brent too. I told people I was 70% done because that's what I thought. And then once you actually go full time and start working on it, you realize you're not. I think in reality, I was 30% done. Right? All right. So small indie titles. Let's see here. Give me a sec here. Yep. Okay. Sorry, I was thinking, what was the slide? Your title's projected income is going to kind of define how much funding you get. All right. The publisher is really going to determine, they're going to see your project and they're going to know immediately, okay, this is going to be $1 million game, or this game will make 500K, or this game will make 100K. That's how much funding they're going to want to do for your project. That's the way a publisher should think. They should be like, okay, we at least want to get our money back, right? They're thinking about ROI. So with small indie titles, you're looking at a $50,000 to $250,000 investment, and the publisher is going to hope to get that money back. Again, that's why I said your title's projected income defines how much funding you're going to get. So small new publishers with like a budding portfolio, they're going to have a ton of flops, and they're going to hope that you're their winner. So oftentimes they just like fund 10 games, and then they hope one of them is $1 million game. So they're doing these small, tiny little investments. So like 50,000 is really tiny. Medium indie titles, 250 to 400,000. This is with like more stable publishers and platforms. Let's just talk about publishers. Platforms are kind of irrelevant right now. Like Game Pass deals kind of suck anyway. More stable publishers with fairly decent portfolios. So I would call these medium indie titles. I would think some of these might include like maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to say any of them actually because I don't know anymore. Yeah. Tiny Build would probably be in the medium and the large. The large would be Devolvers. Definitely the Devolvers. Maybe even the Raw Furies. Large indie titles, $400,000 to $3 million of investment. They're going to have a big say in what the project looks like and how it's created. Yeah. Okay. Even now, 10 years later, I kind of gravitate towards this. It's like, ooh, what a cozy relationship. $50,000 to $250,000. The publisher kind of keeps their distance. That sounds great, you know. All right. Thomas, can you help me determine can you talk about how you determine the scope of the game? Sure. It's so hard because if you haven't released a game, you don't really know how much money you're capable of making. So going into these conversations with publishers is really odd, okay? And the reason it's odd is because you're going in thinking how much you need. They're going into the conversation thinking about how much they want to make. So you say, I want $100,000 because in your head, you're thinking, I need a year and a half of salary. In their head, they're thinking, is this game going to make $100,000 minimum? Some publishers want to 10x it. And if they can't 10x it, they're done. Other publishers are wanting to 2x it, 3x it. Not EXIT, 3x. They want to make 3 times their money. Okay? So for all of you, most of you probably listening, you're probably going into the conversation thinking, I know how much I need. And I think that's okay. And the publisher, they're going to come in, they're going to lowball you. They're going to say, max we can do, bro, is $100K. When in reality, they could probably do $200K or $300K. And so you're sitting there going, I need this much to survive full time. And they're coming in and saying, we can barely do that. What I would do if I were you is flex a little bit, or give yourself a little bit of margin and say, you know what? I'm going to ask for $50K more than I need. Because they're going to come down a little bit. And then also, you're probably going to need more. It's like notorious with publishers that indies ask for more money during production because they always go over budget. Right? Thomas, have you ever failed a publisher? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've definitely let publishers down. With obviously with resolution in mind. You want to resolve and figure out, okay, well, how did I let you down? I've had milestones failed before. I've also had other publishers for some reason just disappear. One of my first publishers, they just stopped communicating with me. I wouldn't say that was a failure on my part, but it made me feel like I'd let them down. But in terms of like great relationships, every relationship I have now, except for my first publisher, Armor Games, Serenity Forge, 3D Realms, all relationships are good right now. And all of them we're still partners, still working together. But failure is involved for sure. "3D Printer Academy" says, I think it's time to launch Thomas Brush Publishing. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. When you get a publisher to back you, does the funds they give you get taxed? Of course. Are you kidding me? You're always taxed. Always. You're not a church. Yeah, you're going to get taxed big time. This is why you definitely don't want a publisher to give you $400K immediately, because the government's going to tax you at 30%, 30 to 40%. You're not going to spend all that money as a business expense How could you? I mean, if you got $400,000, you can't just spend it in 12 months, right? Please do, so that you don't get taxed on it. Guys, just because your income is producing a game doesn't mean your income doesn't get taxed. So the only thing that's not going to get taxed is any money you spend outside of your own salary. That will not get taxed. So if you pay a contractor or you buy assets or buy music or whatever, that won't get taxed because that's a business expense. Does that make sense? But your salary, it will be taxed. You were hoping it was on the back end? Well, what, on the revenue? Taxes. I'm not an accountant, but taxes are simple. If you made some money and it's in your bank account, by the end of the year, it will be taxed. Period. Unless it's on the sale of your home 2 years after you've owned it. I believe that's what the number is. Okay, publisher platforms. We already talked about that. Let's move on to wishlisting, okay? Wishlisting is the third way to make six figures with an idea, aka a really good demo, okay? And you're probably thinking, what? Wishlists, in my mind, wishlists are like stocks, and they're like cryptocurrency. Okay? That's how I see wishlists. And I think some people would say that's a terrible way of thinking. If you have money in the bank and you have savings, suddenly stocks become really exciting. Suddenly cryptocurrency becomes really exciting. Suddenly buying dirt gets really exciting. Suddenly getting email addresses gets really exciting. Suddenly wish lists get really, really exciting. That's because what is the word? It starts with an L. Cash is liquid. So when you need it, when you really need it, cash is exciting. When you don't need cash and you have savings and you have recurring income, all that stuff, suddenly wish lists are way better than cash. Why? Because wish lists are essentially an email list that convert at 5 to 20%. So the way my brain works, a good rule of thumb is my wish list will convert at 10%. And so essentially 10% of my wish lists are cash. That's the way I see it. Does that make sense? Wish lists have no price, so stocks are a weird metaphor to go. What? Yes, they do. Wish lists, look, if I have let's say I have 100,000 wish lists and it converts at 10%. 10,000 wish lists at the price of my game is what that list is worth. Does that make sense? I understand why you would be confused, but let's run the numbers, okay? 100,000 wish lists, okay, times 10% is 10,000. Now, I assume a 10% conversion rate because I believe that I can convert my list. My own list, I know the way my conversions work. I know that I can convert it at 10%. It might be 5% for you. It might be 20% for you. Okay? So I'm going to go with a 10. I know my game will launch. Oh, probably a 20% discount, 10% discount, so like $17, $18. Let's just go with a 17. So basically when I look at a wish list, I go 100,000 wish list is 170K. Bing bong boom. Now obviously you want to do times 0.7, so it's 119. The reason you do 0.7 is because Steam takes 30%. So that wish list is worth that list of 100,000 is worth $119,000, which, by the way, in digital marketing they say an email address is worth $1 a month. That's if you have a membership program or some kind of subscription service, or you're constantly selling products. With this, it looks like it's around, in my case, 100,000 wish lists is worth about $1.19 per wish list. Does that make sense? How do you get 100,000 wish lists? Well, that's the question, right? But I'm trying to convince you guys that wish lists are worth it and they're valuable. Are they as valuable as they were last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Well, no, because demand is higher. There's way more games. Does that make sense? Francisco's right. Yeah, newsletters make around that, $1 per email address. Yeah, Padlock, does that make more sense? Guys, is my math wrong here? I don't think it is. If you can get a 10% conversion rate and you actually have a decent game, that's why demos are so valuable, because demos, you won't get wish lists from a demo if your demo sucks. Generally, it's like a general rule. So if you have a decent demo, you get wish lists and they convert. Wait, what is this? Oh, Loya's 100% correct. I'm just sort of doing the baseline here. Loya's saying that actually you'll get more because the algorithm will push you more. And that's 100% correct. I'm just talking about the baseline. James says, maybe when we release our games, income tax will be less or gone altogether. Dominique says, wait, there's people reacting to emails? If it's not possible, client or somebody I know, it gets deleted. Well, that's why it's 10%. The majority of your emails get lost or nobody reacts to them. That's why we're doing a 10% conversion rate. Right? And also they're going to get notified on Steam and stuff. Kyleel says that conversion is pretty accurate in my experience. I released one game on Steam, got about 300 wish lists, and made about that much in sales. Yeah, but here's what's funny is a lot of you are probably thinking, didn't they say wish lists reduced in their conversion rate? Because that's like the news of the last couple of years is wish lists don't convert as well. They used to say it was a 20% conversion rate, which I don't think I ever bought that. So I feel like 10% is fairly conservative. That is if people really do like your game, Padlock Tech says, yeah, I had 600 wish lists and sold about 60 copies. That's right. What if the publishers, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry, let me try again. That was rude of me. Hassan says, what if the publisher country has taxes and my country doesn't have taxes? You don't have taxes? That's awesome. Yeah, no, I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but no, the publisher's not going to get taxed on the money they gave you. Not at all. Mine is 100% conversion rate. That's awesome. Before having the demo, what do we need to prepare? A demo. Stop. Sorry, I'm getting like my... There we go. With about 1,500 wish lists, I think my early conversion was like 2%. Well, what game was that for, Ender's Edge? I don't know if that's true. Ender's Edge, I don't think it's about like the more wish lists you get. I think it's if you know you have a quality title that people enjoy, you will get a 10%. I'll just speak for me. I will get a 10% conversion rate. So, but if your game is not quality and it doesn't meet the expectations of the audience and it starts getting downvoted and gets mixed reviews, then no, you're not going to get 10% because people are going to see the page and they go, wait, this game doesn't look like it's doing well. Yeah, what was Air Obscura's reviews, Ender's Edge? So if you have, let's say, mixed or mostly positive, that's a huge red flag for people, and so they're not going to convert. That's why reviews are really important. So that's why I keep saying if it's a quality game, you'll get a 10% conversion rate. Does that make sense? James Henderson asks, Thomas, are there publishers that take a small cut after a certain number has been fulfilled? Well, a publisher, the typical deal is a publisher is going to take 80 to 100% of your revenue until their initial investment is recouped. After the recoupment is done, then you do a 30-60, or I'm sorry, 30-70, 60-40. It's always going to be in your favor until you're at 50-50. So some deals are 50-50. So again, to fully clarify that, publishers typically do an 80-20 to 100%. They take all of that money fully until the initial recoupment. So let's say $100,000 is recouped, or that was the advance. They're going to recoup $100,000 and then do the split. Are you getting screwed there? Not really, because they just spent a ton of money. So they kind of want to get that money back. You got the money, and then they get the money. Does that make sense? You got $100,000 early. They got $100,000 later. They took on the risk, so they want their money back. Right? And then we'll do a split. Does that make sense? All right. It's risky for them. It truly is. Okay, Air Obscura was 3 not recommended, 5 recommended. So yeah, you were at mixed. Or it might... Yeah. No, you were at mostly negative. So that's why the conversion rate wasn't there. Okay. Anyway, let's keep going here. How do you get wish lists? This is all my experience, guys, okay? So I'm just going off my experience. The most wish lists I've ever had, and so I'm not like David Whaley, who's just crushing it, okay? So you might think, well, this is on one side you might think, wow, I don't want to listen to this guy. On another side of things, you might think, oh, this guy's like kind of normal. So these are normal expectations. I launched Pinstripe at 8,000 wish lists, I believe, and that game made over $300,000 on Steam. Gross. I launched Neversong with, I believe, 20,000 wish lists. And that actually performed worse than Pinstripe. You may be wondering, where did you get your Neversong money from? Neversong did really, really well on mobile. And that was with Apple Arcade subscription service. And then Twisted Tower is nearing 100,000. The reason I never say the specific number is I don't really know what my publisher can say, but we're nearing 100,000. It's more than 80. It's less than 100. And how? So you're probably the reason I say that is I can give you my ways and what I found most effective in getting wish lists. Social media posts are not the best. They're fine. So I give it a D. It's better than nothing, and it also helps stimulate the algorithm, which is always a good thing. You might have a gangbusters viral post. I've had a few of those, but, for the most part, it's not the best. Reddit, I say a C, because, well, you're probably just going to get banned for even trying, right? Devlogs, C+. You might get maybe 10,000 total. Mid-range YouTubers, B-, Next Fest Demo, B. Mega YouTubers, A+. That's right. Mike Jemmy. So far in about a month, while posting online and Reddit, I got 50 wish lists from social media. Hey, it's better than nothing, right? Mike Jemmy continues. In 9 days with YouTubers and streamers, it's gone to about 700. Exactly. AKA post a demo with Next Fest. You'll get like 5,000 wish lists. I got like 50,000, but it's hard to say why that happened. I think I was able to push on my YouTube channel, but I also emailed a ton of YouTubers. So it's like the mega YouTubers were responsible for the Next Fest demo doing well. So sometimes you combine these things. So you multiply a mid-range YouTuber, and that mid-range YouTuber promotes a social media post. I don't know. Then suddenly you get a C. No, then suddenly you bring the B up to an A. I'm trying to do weird math here, but I hope you get what I'm saying. You can combine things. You can use a mega YouTuber with a demo, right? So yeah. Launch expectations. You can make like $10,000 to $1 million from a small first or second title, like Pinstripe. It'll be like an hour through 3 hours. And that's a simple sort of retro 3D game or 2D story game. An example would be like a 2D platformer with small scope, or a puzzle game, something like that. 10,000. Isn't that funny? It's like, is this slide even helpful? 10,000 to $1 million? What? Bigger indie titles can do $1 million to $10 million. Sometimes these are 3 to 8 hour polished like story games, like Firewatch. Other times they're what I think they're called 10,000 hour games. That's sort of the generic term, which is like games where you could just play them over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Hyper unique, eye-catching 2D games that spent $1 million in their budget, or $2 million in their budget. These actually do exist, by the way. I can't name what they are because I was told that the funding for these games was over $1 million. I just can't say what it was. All right, guys, before we move into the Q&A, Thomas is going to shill his course. Full-time game dev, use code WORKSHOP. If you want to learn everything I've learned in the last decade of making games full-time, check out Full-Time Game Dev below. It's 40% off just for today's workshop, so you guys got a day left. It says 20 seats available. That's not true. It's actually 15 seats left. I should have changed that. 15 seats left. You've got 1 day left. You're going to get my 2D and 3D Art Pro courses completely free. In all seriousness, it does mean a lot that you guys let me do these ad reads. It supports the studio, especially now towards the tail end of Twisted Towers development, where extra funding is always very helpful. So yeah, feel free to join. By the way, if you're a student, let me know in the chat what you think about the program. You're going to learn everything I've learned in the last decade, right? So when it comes to funding, taking the demo that we've talked about, taking a game idea and converting it to money like we've talked about, this course is going to show you how to do it. It's a great course. And the cool thing is, guys, you're going to be with 4,500 other students. There's a private Discord server. You can use it whenever you want. It's a great resource to have. It just shows you everything I've learned. And you also obviously learn how to make a game. Unity or Godot or Unreal, whichever engine you want to learn, you're going to learn it. 2D or 3D. You might be wondering, does it even work, right? A lot of people have said that, like, so Thomas sells this course, but does anyone actually go full-time? Yes, they do. Granted, it's hard. It's not like college. So that's the thing. It's not like everyone's gonna go full time. It's tough. It's tough to do. But it's happened with all these students. I think I have like 6 or 7 reviews on the front page of the website of people went full time. Andre went full time. Thomas's course was the turning point. Now we're about to launch our own published game this year with a collector's physical edition. That's really, really cool. Published by Numbskull Games. Chris Dare went full time, got published. Bart Mamser went full time, made over $100,000 in his first game with the help of the course. Everflux went full time, got funded on Kickstarter with the help of the course. So yeah, I don't know how much they got funded on Kickstarter for, actually. So you might want to cross-check that. But they got funded, so that's cool. All right, and bonus for people who are in the workshop only. You're going to get a full mastermind meeting with just me. So however many people enroll, let's say it's 15 or 20, they're going to show up. You're going to get a free, intimate group call with me on Discord. And we'll go through your ideas and you'll get my full attention, which will be a lot of fun. I look forward to meeting you. So yeah, use code WORKSHOP. 30-day money back guarantee, no questions asked. If it didn't work for you, you get your money back. So there's no risk for you. All right. The Q&A has begun. I love the Q&A. So questions, and also let's do an audit as well. If you guys have Steam pages or ideas, and you want to, talk about those, I'm happy to jump in those. I'm going to use all the guys. I'm not perfect. I'm really not perfect. I'm not like this viral indie game developer, but I've been published 3 times. I've had multiple Kickstarter campaigns that have been successful. So I like to think, I really do believe it, I know when an idea can be sold. And so let's talk about it, right? Thomas, do you think Steam's 30% is worth it versus Epic's 12%? Well, it's an odd question, James, because it's like, just do both. I mean, it's hard to give up your revenue to Steam. I get it, but why do you have to pick one over the other? Just do both. Mr. Chubby, email thomas@fulltimegamedev.com and we'll get you sorted. With that question, because yes, we do. Twisted Tower looks AAA. I think that's a problem, Ben. I'm hoping that people don't think it's supposed to be, because it's not. Yeah. All right, Anders Edge. And dude, I am not ignoring you on Discord, I promise. I'm just bottlenecked, dude. I've been so bottlenecked, and I know I've probably told you that. Okay, Anders Edge idea. Let me. By the way, let's go ahead and go this way here so you guys can see the chat. There we go. Anders Edge. His question is. Let's see here. Submitting an idea for roasting. I thought about my survival horror game. Something like Manor Lords, but survival horror. I haven't played Manor Lords. Bum, ba, da, ba, bum. That's tough, dude. Manor Lords is a big game. Maybe building is similar to Islanders. Simplistic. Goody, goody, goody. That's a great idea. Yay. Thank you for simplifying. You know, guys, I was talking to Jonas Tyroller, I think it was 3 days ago, and I pitched him one of my game ideas. And I do this a lot. I'll reach out to people like David Whaley. I'm going to talk to him today just to... I definitely am privileged because I get to just talk to these folks and get their counsel. But Jonas Tyroller, he has this unique ability to take a big idea that I have, and he's like, just make it this tiny thing. So let's look at Manor Lords, and what did you say? You said Manor Lords, but horror. All right, let's go, guys. And don't just rely on me, Anders Edge. Guys, let's give Anders Edge some consultation here. Manor Lords, but horror. Oh, but it's already been done before. Who cares? Remember what I said yesterday? Be the best. And the reason I said it is because I'm like, they probably already done it. So Manor Lords is a medieval... I haven't played it, seriously. So I need to figure out what it is. Manor Lords is a medieval strategy game featuring in-depth city building, large-scale tactical battles, and complex economic and social simulations. Rule your lands as a medieval lord. The seasons pass, the weather changes, and cities rise and fall. Yes. I see it. I see it, Anders Edge. Of all the ideas you shared with me, I think this works. But I know you pretty well. And so you said I'm submitting an idea for roasting. Your inclination, and please don't make a video about this. Wink, wink, wink. Because I just want to give you advice right now. But you don't make a video out of this, please. And that's, if I was to give you an emoji on Discord, it would be like this, haha face. I'm being nice. Just please don't. But what I would say is, I know you, and I know that you're gonna want to get too creative with this, and then your scope will spill over. Don't get too creative, man. Just do super, super freaking simple art. of, let's say it would be zombies, and you could call it Zombie Lords. And it's the apocalypse. And your job is to defend against zombies. My pencil keeps breaking. It helps me to write this stuff. Stop breaking! It helps me to write this stuff out. If it was Zombie Lords or Vampire Lords or Demon Lords, and it's like demonic entities coming out of the ground, lean heavy into that theme. Don't go, ooh, I'm gonna introduce like aliens, or I'm gonna introduce like this cool like system where the cosmos can come through and it interacts with the vampire. No, just go hardcore, classic Dracula, vampires, castles, tombstones, and then I'll bring in wolves. No. Super simple, clean graphics, isometric, the bare bones complexity of Manor Lords with a theme, and you win. What do you think? Does that make sense? Anders Edge? Is that the hook? Okay, so Anders Edge says that the hook is that you can walk. That's fine. If that's the hook, do what the hook is. That's totally fine. But the graphics don't have to be great. They should be pretty, but they don't have to be great. What about that deer? See, that's exactly what I was thinking. The deer monster completely, that's what I'm saying when it's like, that's too creative. That actually brings away from the hook. A deer monster is not vampires. It's not zombies. It's not... With something like Manor Lords, what is Manor Lords? Manor Lords is medieval strategy game. It's medieval. And they lean into medieval. If you're going to do this, I would just say just go hardcore into a single horror element like zombie apocalypse, or you could do like an atomic radiation apocalypse like Chernobyl, and all of the Russian peasants are like rebelling. Something super thematic. The theme, dude, what I want you to try and do is take your themes and tighten them up and lock yourself in to that tight theme. You do not need to loosen it up. If you're David Lynch, go for it. If you're Toby Fox, go for it. But I'm not, and you're not. So tighten up that theme, lock in the theme, that biome, that flavor, and stick with it. If you made a beautiful isometric top-down horror game, like a zombie game, but it had Manor Lords themes, Manor Lords mechanics, I think it would work. Wasn't Chernobyl in Russia at the time, though? I'm gonna argue with you, Tuckmac. Was Chernobyl in Russia at the time? What? Okay, never mind. Thomas loses. Okay, do we agree with Thomas about not Ukraine here, but about that idea? Okay, any let's move forward with more questions, guys. Okay. Mike Jemmy says you'll take a full and brutally honest Steam page audit. Okay, what's your game called, Mike? Castle Crashers, but family-oriented plus educational with turn-based. Uh-oh, too much. Too much. Just say it out loud and you'll know that it's too much. That's from Mr. Chubby Cheeks. This is my super chat yesterday. Castle Crashers, but family-oriented, but educational and turn-based. You can put that in there, I guess. The turn-based stuff, it's fine. That's not your hook, and that's not your log line or your tagline. Castle Crashers is kind of family-friendly, though. Kind of. I mean, a little bit. Do Castle Crashers, but with math. Boom. We're simplifying things. Why do we simplify things? Because people, number one, we're indies, so we have very limited budget. And number two, it helps people understand what your game is. And they're willing to, people don't buy things they don't understand. So, Castle Crashers, but with math. Boom. Castle Crashers, but with history. But Thomas, I want to do science too. No, stop it. Pick one. What was your, it was who said, don't, Anders says, thanks Thomas, but I'll try not to make a video about it. Mike Jemmy, cat named Mojave. Got it. All right, let's go. You asked for a brutally honest Steam page audit. I always like to start with the description because it gives me an idea of what the log line or the tagline or the USP is. The hook. Stranded in a desert. This is so funny. I hope this game is funny because it looks funny. Stranded in the desert, your only hope of escaping rests in a strange cat man. Yes! Yes! This is great. The hook is there, and it makes no sense. His one request, hunt down surreal creatures, skin them, and chop them up so he can keep them as trophies. In this uncanny... I actually think you need to get rid of this. In this uncanny place, it's obvious right here. This is just my opinion. I would ask some of your friends. But I feel like this actually takes me away from it. Let me show you what I mean. There is a game that takes itself really seriously. And it is called... Give me a sec. I should know it off the top of my head. I'm sorry if I don't. It is called... This is going to help you a lot. Get to Work, obviously. I'm so sorry, guys. I haven't played Get to Work, but it's called Get to Work. Let's look at Get to Work really quick, because this has a similar vibe. Get to Work takes itself seriously, and it makes it funnier. You are poor and bald. Get to work. It doesn't say, it's a silly game where you're poor and bald. It's like, no, you're poor and bald. Get to work. It's so straight-faced. So I would say that in your game here, I would go harder with the seriousness. I wouldn't say it's uncanny. It's just like, no, it's not uncanny. It's serious. You're stranded in a desert and your only hope is escaping rest with a strange cat man. Hunt down surreal creatures, skin them, and chop them up so he can keep them as trophies. Boom, done. There it is. That's all you need. It's like, what? What's the problem? So I would say just make sure you take yourself seriously with all of this because that'll make it even funnier. Kind of like clickholding as well. Clickholding takes itself very seriously. I would say clickholding is different because it's not funny. The taking it as a normal thing is what makes it scary. The man in the corner of your hotel room wants you to click something. He wants you to watch you click it. It's like, what? Do it. What's the big deal? Come on. What's your problem? Why is this surreal to you? This isn't surreal. Does that make sense, Mike Jemmy? So with your game, I would go hardcore into the seriousness of it. Just be like, what? There's a cat man. What's the problem? Of course he wants you to chop up bodies. Duh. All right, let's watch this is hilarious to me. So really great work here. Honestly, it looks that I want a poster of this. above my bed on the ceiling. Let's see if we can watch the trailer here. Hello? I'm going to have to Google it because it's not working. I disagree. No. Don't listen to the stop. Do not listen to the comments. So I think one of you said it needs to be about a serial killer, and another one of you said that the thumbnail doesn't work. It does. It works. Okay, I'm pulling this up on yeah, somebody said it doesn't convey PSX. I think it does. It just looks like something from the 90s. Maybe add, okay, here I go. Let me open up Photoshop and maybe we can talk about this. There's potential here to make I do agree that there's actually potential to make the thumbnail look a little bit better. But let's watch the trailer really quick. Okay, so the first 2 seconds of a trailer are really important. You really want to do something with motion to make sure people are like, okay, I'm not watching a slideshow. So I would make the like wind blowing or something, or particles, or make the sky moving here. And this, like, maybe the car is rumbling and it stops. Cut to black with a horror sound. So imagine this. It starts. The car stops and it goes, cuts to black. That's way better than this, which looks like a slideshow. That push in right there, it's clear you did that in the editor. Move the camera in the actual game. Give me some parallaxing, some depth. Okay, use more sound there. Shuts down. The fan clicking. Okay, let's watch this again. Give me a sec here. That's great. This is great. That's great. I love that. Really good. I love it. I think it's awesome. I don't have any real feedback. I think it's great. I think that trailer felt a little soggy. Okay, so what I mean by that is it might be a little too abstract. So you might want to ground us in something like a mission or a goal. But overall, I think you've got something really cool here. Honestly, I think you've got a hook and I think it works. Yeah. Especially if it's streamable. If it's streamable and has jump scares and it's really weird and strange and makes the streamer get out of their seat, I think it's great. All right. What else we got here? Yeah. Cool, man. Cool, man. All right, guys. Let's see here. What do we got here? I wanted to say a huge thank you to Sean Miller and Jesse Hag. I believe that's how you say it. And Hong Hui Lee. Thank you for joining Full-Time Game Dev. I think, Sean, you enrolled during today's masterclass. That means the world to me. Thank you so much. And I hope that the course helps you a lot. Guys, that's all I've got time for today. You got 1 day left. There are, I believe, 14 seats left now. And these will probably sell out throughout the day. Join Full-Time Game Dev, 40% off. And yeah, check it out below. You'll learn everything I've learned in the last decade of making indie games, including how to get published, how to get a Kickstarter campaign funded, how to hit the Steam front page, how to get Wishlist, all that cool stuff, how to make a game in Godot, Unreal, Unity. And you'll get my 2D and 3D art programs completely free. On top of all of that, because you joined me in the workshop today, you're also going to get a private masterclass or mastermind meeting on Discord with me and the 15 to 20 other students who've enrolled during the workshop. And we'll get to hang out, have a good time. Only for this sale event. I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out. This was a lot of fun. You guys rock. I hope that was helpful.